Welcome back to Uncivil Law. Today, we're diving into the whirlwind of legal controversy surrounding the ever so controversial YouTube sensation, Mr. Beast. This isn't just your average tea spill, oh no. This is a full-blown legal drama with more twists and turns than a soap opera. So, grab your popcorn and let's break it down. Ever wonder what happens when a YouTuber with over 300 million subscribers finds themselves in the crosshairs of both legal and moral scrutiny? Well, you've come to the right place. We've got grooming allegations, cease and desist letters, and accusations of fake philanthropic efforts. And yes, we've even got a reality show fiasco to show up for good measure. So let's dive into this increasing legal maelstrom, shall we? First up, we have Ava Chris Tyson, otherwise known as Chris Tyson, a transgender adult and a former collaborator of Mr. Beast. Picture this, the digital equivalent of a horror movie where the villain isn't a mass slasher, but rather wields inappropriate messages and scandalous DMs. Tyson has been accused of grooming a minor. Yep, you heard that right. The allegations state that Tyson, then the age of 20 years old, sent inappropriate messages to a 13-year-old fan. Just imagine if Harry Potter started to get inappropriate DMs from Severus Snape. You've got the idea. It's both absurd and yet terrifying. The claims exploded on social media. Tyson, who's since left Mr. Beast's channel, has strenuously denied any wrongdoing, calling the relationship merely a series of edgy jokes. Now, if your idea of edgy jokes involves you, a 20-year-old adult, inappropriately making sexually charged comments to a 13-year-old minor, you might want to reevaluate some of your sense of humor. Let's dive a little deeper into the nitty-gritty of these allegations. The internet is a vast, often unruly place where boundaries can blur faster than you can say clickbait. In this particular situation, Tyson's relationship with the minor, known online as LavaGS, reportedly began in a Discord server. For those not in the know, Discord is a persistent chat room. It's like a virtual giant clubhouse where people chat about everything from video games to knitting patterns. In this particular case, however, the chats appear to have taken a darker turn. Tyson, the adult, and LavaGS, the 13-year-old minor, interacted at least partially publicly, with the public-facing messages including lewd jokes and inappropriate comments. The public-facing stuff by itself is the stuff that makes you want to facepalm so hard you leave a mark, and heaven knows what those private DMs might look like. Tyson has defended these interactions as mere humor, but again, when you're a 20-year-old adult talking to a 13-year-old minor, there's a line that once crossed turns those jokes into something far more sinister. Now to consider some of the legal landscape. Grooming, as a legal concept, is often defined as an adult forming an emotional bond with a minor for the purpose of exploiting them with sexual ideas in mind. It's a crime that relies on subtle manipulation and trust building, but ultimately for a sexually exploitive end. Tyson's actions, whether deemed jokes or not, fall into an area that legal experts are likely to be scrutinizing with magnifying glasses, not to mention potential law enforcement action. The fact that Mr. Beast has distanced himself from Tyson speaks volumes. Yet, the question remains, has justice been served merely by cutting ties, or is there something more to be done, perhaps by a US attorney? Imagine being Tyson right now. Your reputation, what's left of it, and potentially your freedom is hanging by a thread, and every word you say will be dissected by millions. It's a high-stakes game of he said, with public opinion swaying in like a pendulum. Tyson's, let's call it apology, in which they acknowledge their past behavior and pledges to work on themselves, is a classic PR move. But can this weak and limp apology really erase the potential damage done to Mr. Beast's brand? On the flip side, we have LavaGS themselves, now 20, who at least initially publicly defended Tyson. LavaGS insisted that the interactions, while potentially inappropriate, were never exploitative. But perhaps that wasn't necessarily clear to them at the time. This explanation is a little bit like trying to put out fire with gasoline. The more that they explain, the worse the situation seems to get. LavaGS's defense complicates matters somewhat, suggesting the situation might not be as black and white as it first appeared, but even if LavaGS didn't feel victimized at the time, the power dynamics at play cannot be ignored. Should the investigation that may be ongoing with respect to law enforcement authorities that may potentially be looking into these actions, should they determine that Tyson's actions were indeed criminal, it could lead to charges of child exploitation, child endangerment, or perhaps even worse. Even without a criminal conviction, the court of public opinion can be just as damaging to Mr. Beast's brand. Major brands have a bit of a reputation for shirking controversy, and this controversy could have long-term effects on Mr. Beast and his brand, particularly if existing or past sponsors sue for any damage they believe has been caused to their brands by the association relating to this scandal. But next up, we have to talk about the leaks. Dogpack 404, a former Mr. Beast employee who decided to air out some dirty laundry. Imagine the drama of a high school reunion, but with legal documents instead of yearbooks. Dogpack 404 released a video calling Mr. Beast a fraud, accusing him of shady business practices and manipulating young audiences. Because, of course, who doesn't love a good drama? Mr. Beast's response was as swift as it was predictable, a cease and desist letter. It's like sending a strongly worded email, but from lawyers, and with legal repercussions. Dogpack 404 doesn't seem to be taking it on the chin, not one to back down. Initially responded with a video featuring a raccoon for some reason, and the words, "I will not cease or dismissed." Well, talk about a dramatic flair. This saga has all the markings of a blockbuster legal thriller, particularly as Mr. Beast has to balance his considerations of enforcing the NDA with the public perception of doing that. The accusations against Mr. Beast are serious: fraud, manipulation, and creating inauthentic philanthropic content. It's more tangled than a bowl of spaghetti. The cease and desist letter is a classic move in a legal playbook. While it can be used for legitimate purposes, it's sometimes used to intimidate and silence critics. It's a legal equivalent of saying shut up or else. However, Dogpack 404's refusal to back down adds a layer of defiance that's both risky and riveting. The video released by Dogpack 404 makes several bombshell claims. Among them, the most striking accusation is that Mr. Beast's videos, including some of his philanthropic videos, are staged. If this is true, it could expose Mr. Beast to legal ramifications for fraud and false advertising. Imagine people who donate to the charity only to find out it was all one big show. It's like finding out your favorite superhero is just a guy in the costume. And then there's the problem of manipulation of particularly young audiences, which Mr. Beast's demographics tend to skew towards. This brings into questions of ethics and targeting impressionable minds with content that might not be as genuine as it appears. The legal landscape around this can be murky, but with growing scrutiny on influencer practices, it's a ticking time bomb waiting to explode, and perhaps Mr. Beast is the fuse. And for now, the piece de resistance, the cherry on this controversial sundae, Mr. Beast Games. This reality series produced by Mr. Beast and Amazon has come under fire for allegedly abusing participants. Imagine the Squid Game, with tight conditions, unsavory practices, lack of food, lack of hygiene, and all-around misery. A lot of discomfort and poor organization. Participants of the Beast Game who have come forward have reported a slew of issues: inadequate food, inadequate medical care, contestants being denied medication, and a hideous porridge that might as well have been served from the gruel from a Dickens novel. It's a setup that apparently makes Survivor look like a luxury vacation. Contestants had been promised a shot at up to $5 million in prizes, but what they got was more akin to a boot camp from hell. The production has been described by some as a shit show, and many are questioning both the ethics and legalities relating to such a chaotic and unprepared event. It's a muddy situation, but it is clear that something has gone terribly wrong here. But what are the legal stakes? Reality TV shows have always walked a fine line between entertainment and exploitation. The reports of mistreatment and inadequate care could potentially lead to lawsuits for negligence, potentially even recklessness, and breach of contract, among other tortious claims. Participants who signed up might have expected a tough challenge, but not at the expense of their health and well-being. Mr. Beast's team has responded, citing logistical challenges and unforeseen issues, including, perhaps most hilariously, citing the recent CrowdStrike Windows shutdown that they blame for the lack of food and lack of medicine. I'm not quite sure how the Windows computers going down prevented a lack of medicine, but that's what they're going with. This response feels like a band-aid on a bullet wound. The fact that so many participants have spoken out, presumably against their NDAs, suggests a deep-seated dissatisfaction that could spell trouble for Mr. Beast and his production team. So, what can we learn from all this? Dogpack 404 saga highlights the fine line that can sometimes exist between free speech and defamation. While individuals have the right to express their opinions, making false statements that harm someone's reputation can lead to serious consequences. And of course, breaking an NDA is a civil violation that can lead to huge damages. The Mr. Beast controversy underscores the importance of clear and fair contracts. And while NDAs can be used to protect sensitive information, they cannot legally be used to cover up recklessness or criminal behavior. And Mr. Beast's past comments and current controversies raise further questions about his ethics and responsibility. So, Mr. Beast is a YouTuber embroiled in multiple controversies that make you question the very fabric of online fame and philanthropy. But what do you think about this legal case? We'd love to hear your input. Please leave it in the comment section below. Until next time, I've been Uncivil Law, and remember to keep it uncivil out there.